Hello. My name is Elsa Arrais, and I am from Portugal, as probably you all know. And I really enjoy doing street photography. Um, I started in photography with a very quiet presence, um, and it's been accompanying me all this time, even evolving to street photography, more pure. I started going out with my camera, especially out in COVID, during COVID time. And well, there were no people in the streets, right? And then when people started to come out, I started to get more interested in having that human presence. Even so, I still like to keep it a little bit minimal. Uh, in a world so full of images and information all the time, I really feel that it's important to slow down, and even in visual presence, that also for me, I feel that need of having something more little, something more less dense in information. And so that's basically my approach. So one of the things that I really like to is visit common places like touristic places, and try to achieve images a little bit out of the box, right? At least I try not to stay away from cliches mainly. Of course, it's not always possible, but sometimes I really get lucky. Well, I always feel that I'm very lucky when I'm in the streets, because you need to be in the right moment, in the right time, but in a certain way. It's not just being in the right moment in the right time, and you probably feel the same way, because you also have to be there with your eyes open for that moment, right? So it's the same as you walk in the same street with everybody else. They have the same luck as you, but they are not seeing it with your eyes, right? So it's sort of a lot lucky, but it's also sort of an awareness that we have when we go out shoot with our eyes wide open, with our minds open to receive what's outside in the streets. I will share with you some, let me see if I can share my screen with you. So I can tell a little bit about stories about the photos that are more known from my work, so you can understand what I'm talking about when I say this, my approach to street photography. Share screen. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This will probably happen. Can happen again, because there has been a huge storm of wind where I live, and communication still unstable sometimes. And so sometimes internet goes off, calls go off. I'm sorry, but so I will try to share now my screen. It was a hurricane, basically, yeah. So let me see if I can share this. I'm not sure. Are you seeing them in the screen? You see me? Partilhar este ecrã, partilhar. Okay. And now? Okay. So this is one of the photos that probably, who knows my work, is one of the most seen, and I like it very much, or especially because it has this surrealistic trace, right? And it was taken in a very well-known beach in the south of Portugal. And so my approach to the street is this, to street photography. So I went to a place where everybody is jumping inside the water, and you see like 10, 20, 30, 50, I don't know, 100 of images in the summer of people jumping into the water. So I sit there and I ask to myself, what can I do differently? I'm at a beach where people jump in the street. What could I do differently here? How can I make this photo that actually means the same but in a different way? So these guys are two guys that are just have climbed a rock, and they are looking down to another third person that is climbing. So what I saw was, so I've been sitting and waiting a lot. I'm very patient. And what I saw was these two silhouettes that were mimetizing themselves, right? The shapes are, it's like a copy of each other. And then there is this sense of void, right? Because they are looking down, but you cannot actually see the whole story. By not seeing the whole story, the part that I'm saying that someone is climbing, and now you know it's a beach, but the fact that I take those elements off give more room to the observer, to me, to create my own stories, or and understand or read the images with different readings, because I know what's behind, but you don't. So it's very interesting that when I have these sort of images, sometimes I get comments like, "Oh, this reminds me of," or of a music, or so I really like that effect on people. So you know, it's the beach because you have like half naked people, but you don't understand very well if it's beach, if it's river, the rock, where it was taken, right? And what are they doing? And I really like this abstraction of reality that gives the viewer some opening to a new interpretation. So this is one of the images that I had to show you. Then, so I'm not always waiting for something to happen, right? This is a moment where this was taken in Madrid, and they have a park, children park in the center, where they have these water sprays. So it's really warm. It's summer, but this girl here, she's not. She doesn't. Nobody can understand that it's summer because she's all covered, right? Over due to religion issues, but you don't see the face. You don't you don't understand. It seems like rain. It could be just. So it also leaves some opening to imagination, to your own interpretation. And this is not a matter of waiting for something to happen. This is me taking over that opportunity. So I am there, and things are happening, and I just see her coming, and it's really interesting the fact that she's covered with, or her face is not visible. I am a shy person, and so I try to respect that that idea of sharing people's faces. So I try to, when I share someone's face on my profiles without having their consent, right? Because in street photography, we use a lot of images without consent. I try always that the image that I share, if the person sees herself, that she sees herself with dignity and she finds herself beauty or some sort of beauty on her. So in this image, that's something that, so you have no visible face. And so what's challenging for me is also without a face, try to pass emotion, right? Because when you have a face that it's smiling, when you have a face that it's sad, when you have a happy child, so you can see it easily. But sharing feelings or provoking feelings without sharing a face, for me, it's something that I seek because it's challenging for me. So then again, this was one of my first photos to get exhibit outside of Portugal. She was selected for Women Street Photographies in Iberad Photo Festival in India. And again, this was taken in a very, very well-known place. So it's Ponte Bridge Dom Luís in Porto. So this bridge is one of the most famous bridge in Portugal and in the world. I mean, everybody goes, every tourist goes to that bridge and takes photos there. And I kept going there and asking myself, how can I make something different? Because there's always fog in Porto, and there is those very poetic images, very interesting images, but they again look like you have seen it before. So there was this day that I went, and I didn't go. It has two levels, the bridge. And on that day, I didn't go to the upper level. I went to the down level. And they were under construction or under reconstruction working to rebuild or to maintain the bridge. And Porto has this beautiful light by the end of the day. So what you actually see is not a silhouette of a person passing, but it's actually the shadow of the person. The person has already passed. I saw the person passing, and I knew that the shadow, so I've been watching, observing quietly and patiently. So the flow of people going on the bridge, and I knew, so I saw this lady, and I really felt interesting the way of the hands and the purse on the way the shadow would work. So I just caught her in the right place, so it could work. So again, this is a very well-known place, but again, it could have been taken somewhere else. But I know that it was taken in Don Luis Bridge. I know it's, for me, that is important. This challenge that I offer myself. So this is again, so I like to play with light and shadows a lot. And this one, I find it really special because, well, we are approaching International Women's Day. And for me, this is like a beautiful metaphor. Like she's a walking star, right? Um, you see the toes here. You see perfectly that it's a woman, though it's in pants, so in pants. So it's, I had spent the whole afternoon in the north of Portugal, walking around with my camera. And then the day was just ending, and the light was starting to fade. And I start walking, just accompanying the light. So I just kept going east, no, west. I keep going west on the city until I got to this train station. That was when I saw this game of shadow and light, and when this happy moment happened. So again, it could have been taken anywhere, right? You see the pavement, you don't understand that it's, I keep the person identity close. It's very graphic, it's still minimalistic, but even so, you can tell your own story, right? What are the steps? Who is she? Where is she going? Where is she? I know it's in a train station, but it gives you some opening to try to understand or to try to figure, to get a different story by yourself. And this one is one of my favorites because this one is actually a mark when I stopped photographing or shooting only small details that I would see while I was walking around, and the moment that I start shooting people. This one was taken in Fatima, which is a very religious known place, Catholic. They this was built because they say that there were three little kids that have seen Holy Mary, that we call it Holy Mary from Fatima, and we were still post-COVID first days out of the lockdown. So as you can see here, so this is really meaningful for me because you still have, you clearly can see it, the distance between them. It's very expressive of the days that were lived there. And this was a very perfect alignment for me, and very happy between size and movement and posture and shadow play. And so I really like to go to Fatima to shoot, because where I live, everything is very tiny, very close, small roads, and this is a very big area. It's a huge sanctuary, so, and has some modern details. So it gives me more opening to explore these minimalistic thoughts. And again, here, if I didn't say it was taken in Fatima, it could have been taken anywhere else. So this is for me, it's a very meaningful image. So speaking of Fatima, I will enter. I know I still have something different here. I will go again. So again, from the beach. So again, in the beach, this was a place where people go diving and jumping off to the water. Again, in Algarve, so it's Algarve. It's like for you maybe Greece when you go to the coast, and in Portugal we have this tradition or habit. In summer, everybody goes to the beach. The vacation are always taken in the beach. So in the south, that is where the water is warmer. Beaches get really crowded, and so again, this is a place where could have been taken almost anywhere. And again, I'm not interested in the jump itself, but in other parts of the jump. So we have here this image that could be someone getting in or getting out of the water. And you have here, this has a good dimension, and I really find this interesting. Why is it here? Why are they here? So for me, this is a very interesting shot also. That again, I keep private their identities. I try to get some expression and some to try to provoke some sort of feeling by this narrative, by the body expression itself, by the other elements that are added to the frame. And we don't need to see the face. We can tell a story just because, just like this, right? So now we're going back to Fatima. And so Fatima is it's a small town, but it's a small town, but it's very centered. So I started a project there because I really liked it, like I said, to photograph that particular space with good and huge architecture, something modern, something that helps me to get more minimalistic shots. But then I usually work with a writer that is Paul Kellerman, and we decided to make a project out of there. So what I decided to make it more interesting was that I was going through all the small villages over that town and get a difference between the rich part, because the sanctuary is a very rich part of the city, and try to get the rich part against the, like, a diptych between the rich part and the other part of the town, that it's being so small. Even so, people migrated from the countryside into the center of the town because tourists would help it to grow more. But so again, here, this image really mimetize pretty much what we have in this one, right? Uh, um, right. But here, the thing that I think that it feels very expressive, or what felt at the moment very expressive for me, was that this here, you can almost, so you have two ships, but you don't have only two, you have three, you have four, you have five, you have six here. So the wall was composing the rest of the group ships, right? Um, this one makes a deep dish. I will can show you the image afterwards. So for me, it's kind of the same, right? You have posture, you have the same mimetizing elements, things, repetitions, rhythm, right? Within the image. That's something that I really like to see in my photos. And finally, here you have something more from Fatima also, from the countryside villages. So this was taken in a house that it's a touristic house where one of the little kids lived until she died. She died very young with the illness. I think it may be pneumonia or something like that. And so this you have a game of light and shadow, and you have here something that I really like, that it's framing. So you have the door, this is the outside door, and it's very geometric. I really like to play with geometry. And you have the nun, right, that really says the what that really gives you a clue of where you are. But even so, it's not a religious place. So she's a little bit, for someone who doesn't know, she seems a little bit out of place, right? What is a nun doing here? Why are all these doors, and why is this is part of this door, or is another door? Here is light, so this also gives some opening for you to uh, read and interpret your own way image. So now let me see if I can get back to you in a different way. Okay, so now I can show you. So these last two photos that you saw are in my book, and it's not for publicity. I'm just going to show you the work with the things that I try to stick the pairings that I've done for you to see. So the idea was to show how these two worlds have combined and still can live together. So I have this that was taken in a museum, inside a museum, inside the religious and beach part of the town. And then I have somewhere else in the middle of the nowhere, you have this. And then you have again something more like this, that is again in a museum, something more modern, something more to accompany the outside, the architecture that you see in it, everything. You have movement, and then we have this, right? In the less the poorest part of the city. So what I've tried to do as I can show you again, so I can show you this deep dish also, so you can understand from the sheet. So you have this that is from the rich part, and then the deep dish. So one thing that I've tried to do in this project was that I've tried to give it or apply some identity of what you feel when you are in both places. So, for instance, in the tourist part of the town, you always have people with faces on. Because I went there, I spoke to people. There were many less people in the street, so whenever I could find someone, was like, oh, there's someone. Actually, people live in this place. Okay, and I would talk to them. I would be with them a bit, and I would catch them like this lady here again. But in the other part of this town, you don't see any of that because it's a touristic place. So you see people coming and going and moving around, and there are no faces. People don't ask, who are you? Hello, goodbye. People don't talk. It's a touristic place. So I try to reflect that in the photos. So even doing street photography in both places, in both cases, because most of the times I would shoot people first and then I would go and talk to them, add something more. But even doing that, this was my main concern, right? Trying to make it more feel to transfer to pass the feeling of being in those places. So I don't know. I don't know if you have any questions about this. If you like to. Okay. Um, Not yet. But I do that. Well, the idea was to offer them a book. Okay. This was released in the summer, and then things came differently than expected. But I tend to go there. I really intend to go there and give them not a print, but give them a book. Yeah. But I do that. When I have projects where I go and see people and talk with people, and I'm sorry, it went off again. Sorry, it went down again. So yes, I have pictures of people. When I offer them, then I shoot them receiving the photos and being extremely happy. I have a very interesting story for that. So I went to my so when I do street photography, purely street photography, I don't talk to people. I don't ask for permission. I don't go and I don't do that. I also, but I also know that I tend to not use faces, so I will use only the posture, the gesture, the image of something that is happening, and probably, well, the people will not even recognize themselves in the picture, right? But when I do documentary for that purpose, then yes, of course, I speak to people. I have to be with them, and I like to offer the images. So I went to my mother's place. I've been documenting something for her, some of the family and her friends. And she's from a very small, tiny village in the interior of Portugal, where most people that live there had to migrate to other countries like France, England, because it was a very poor village. And so we went there, and I took some photos of her friends, and one of the friends was in her house, and so I shoot her. I took the photo framed. I don't take just a photo. I took them with frames, and I offered the frame, and she was like looking, oh, thank you. But she was, it's a poor village, so it's like light was off, everything was down, it was very dark inside. And at the end, we left the house. She offered me like this huge bag of mushrooms and tomatoes, and just because I offered her a frame. And then we came out, and we are already going by car, passing again, and I just see her with the frame, with her head outside the window to get some light and to see, actually, finally she could see the photo, because she didn't want to spend energy. So, and I also got inside the car. Of course, it's not a perfect photo because the car was moving, but I got that image of her hanging outside the window and looking with the frame. So yes, it's always rewarding when you have this opportunity to speak to people, and when you have the opportunity to offer them because they are not expecting, and that really makes the difference. Uh, that is so what I see every day, because the first way that I got my work seen was Instagram. Okay. So what I see is that people tend to feed. And the most important thing for me, of course, the first thing is to go out with your camera and shoot, and don't be afraid to shoot a lot. It's okay. But the thing is editing, right? And editing is not turning a colored photo into a black and white photo, or to add more contrast or less contrast. For me, the main part of editing is the beginning, when you pick your photos, right? The photos that you want to show. And having a cohesive eye, or a stamp of what you feel or what you like, or an idea. So it's really difficult. I find it really difficult that you don't feel tempted to post anything just because, but then something that really has your stamp, that really portrays you, that really, when people look, when people are scrolling, they know that it's yours. And that, I think, that makes difference. I think people many times forget about that and try just to keep fitting and no, I need to post because, and in the beginning I used to do that, but now I understand that it's not that it's not what's going to make your work stand more. Another thing is, well, you are a woman, you can, like me, if you do street photography, you can apply to some contests like Women Street Photographers openings. There are a lot of festivals you can try to apply. So it can be more seen, right? It has more range, right? But I think that the most important thing for your work to be seen is that I'm sorry, it went off again. Sorry. But it's that basically is this. So uh, if you have a strong image or a strong body of work, then eventually it will be seen. But you can always you can try to apply to this. You can and you can do what you are doing. That's a good start, right? So you have this group that it's very interested in photography. You get together, you go shooting together, and from you can just arrange an exhibition of all of you, and that's a step, that's a beginning, and then you keep doing, and things just happen if you keep shooting. Finally, sorry. Hi, hello. Can you see me? I cannot see you. Okay, I cannot see you, but it's okay. Um, so this went off again. I'm sorry, but we are having a very windy day again, so it's more difficult. Um, Anyway, I don't know if we have more questions, but I don't know if you listened, if you listened, but I think that's a good way is like you can start with this beautiful group that you have also, and you can start making exhibitions regularly from your works. And then from there you see that, well, I my experience is that if you keep working and you keep shooting and you are happy doing what you are doing, eventually it will come to you, you know. Um, that has been always been my posture around here with this. I cannot see you, I'm sorry. Okay. Now I can see. So usually what I do is when I go out, I have so I have a lot of ongoing projects at the same time, always. A lot of things are always happening. I have a lot of collabs with a lot of different people that have crossed my way in different moments, but that we have managed somehow to keep working together. So when I go out, I always take one or two projects in my pocket or in my mind that I know that I will go shoot for that specific, or like for Equilibria, right? For this I went there specifically for doing this, right? Um, but for some, I can go and do street photography, and just then I come home, I edit, and I decide, okay, this goes here and this goes there, and I know, I box them all over. But usually I go with a very defined idea. Like now we had a storm, and I was starting to shoot around. I didn't want to shoot the misery around because I really felt that, um, well, I was part of it. I didn't want to. I thought that, okay, I will leave that exploration of misery to photojournalism, and I will do my own thing. And so I started to go out, and I I went it out with my camera like for a month, and I started collecting images that became actually a quiz body of work for me. So it's now we are working on something, me and the writer, yeah, we are working on something again together. But usually I don't use photos from projects. I don't use them for other things. And usually I don't share them before the projects are finished. So I have this huge archive unseen, but there is just, it's waiting just for the right moment to be shared with the world, or just when we have, like, if it's meant to become a book, for the book to come out, or if it's meant to be something else, it's waiting for that moment. And but I always go with that idea of shooting specifically. Of course, when it's documentary, it's specifically that I will not go, but it doesn't, I mean, even like what I told you, I went to my mother's home birth village, and I didn't shoot only the things that I'm shooting for her. I shoot for myself either, you know. I have two boxes of the same thing. Um, so it's, yeah, it's it's easy and it's complex at the same time. But I never go out with only one idea. But for this idea of street photography as pure street photography, I tend to go with blank mind, open mind, you know. I usually say that I go with fresh eyes, you know. It's like you can go to the same place over and over and over again, but you really need to visit it as if it was the first time. You really need to go with your eyes open, with your mind open, to absorb what the streets and the moment is giving you. I had this project that also became a book, where I walked for 1 year, always in the same window of time, from 18 to so it went for from 18 to 20, okay, o'clock. So when you live in a small town, it's like you have the first week. Oh, yeah, okay, this is nice. Then you go the second week and you go, okay, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5, 10. Then you get to 11 week and you go, oh my God, what am I going to do today? I mean, I've wandered around all these roads and this, what am I going to do? And then it's okay, the streets. So it's okay. I always came out with something different because I always try to see the same places with fresh eyes. You have always something different that is happening. You always have different light. You will always have, so I have this grade of light because from 16 to 20, there is a moment like 70% of the year will be night or crepuscular, and then you have daylight in the summer. So it's like you get you go and you use what you have, right, for that, and that will give you a different perspective, because if the light is different, you will see something different, because the light that day actually has shown you something that has never shown you before. Uh, so it's really interesting that after a year, you go out and you keep coming home with something different. Uh, and that was really, really, really good. You go and yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's possible that you always go to the same places and come back with something totally different. As long as you keep this, your fresh eyes, your eyes open, and your mind open to what is given to you um, when you go out. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for listening. I hope that it was not too boring. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm looking forward for us to be able to collab in different ways, or talking on other. Okay. Oh, that will be nice. Okay. 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 Thank you. That will be really nice. Thank you very much. And just shoot a lot, guys. Bye. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you.